Welcome back to Bet to the North. Doug Lesmerises, Tyler Shoemaker, and TShoe. We're rolling, but I'm a little nervous this week. So I'm wearing the crown to manifest royal feelings. Because, this slate, brother. I don't know. Do you feel good? You feel good about the slate? Or are you a little, is it not? I felt good 1 week. I felt good in week 2, and the rest of it, I'm on pins and needles.
I do. I actually do feel good. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I don't know if I'm a sucker, but I think just having gone through the results and seeing how well my numbers have done against these closing lines gives me much more confidence in these late week bets. In fact, I actually didn't place any opening bets this week. I'm really gonna go head first into that theory. So we'll see how it goes. But I do feel really good. The farther we get into the season, the more formulas I'm able to run, the more comfort I can get with the numbers to really isolate the best plays. So I'm excited, but also I do have to ask. I mean, have you seen the show that with the crown? Do you know what happens to the people that wear the crown? Just throwing that out there.
Here, you want to wear it? That's the thing. We're also, so if we finish, so what we're doing, TShoe, is we're betting $500 of real money every week. And at the end of the year, we're gonna give at least $5,000 to Feed America. Or if we're ahead, we're going to give that to it. So we're ahead right now. But the thing that we did not talk about was that if we're under $5,000, you're going to cut my head off. So, I mean, it is what it is. You got to add the drama, right? We want more people to watch this show. And I feel like this is where America is getting anyway. I mean, what is next on Survivor other than like when you're eliminated, somebody cut your head off with the sword? So we may as well do it here. So this week, the stakes are even higher. Can TShoe and Doug go 4-0, or will TShoe cut Doug's head? Now, one can start with other body parts. You can sort off other, and we'll work our way up to my head.
How many people now are just like, God, I hope they don't cash any bets this week.
I know. So see, but that's drama. Hey, what's going on? What are you doing? I'm watching my favorite college football betting show, but I'm kind of hoping they lose this week because I want one guy to cut the other guy's head off. Okay.
It could work. Our YouTube channel might get banned, but it'd be good for a while.
Oh, we'll go out with a bang. Okay. So we are going to try to win. We're winning so far. Mike, let's go to the stats about how good we are doing. We started off with $5,000 of real money. It's in an account. We now have in that account $6,646.58. That means we are $1,646.58 ahead after 3 weeks, TShoe. We will take that every day, right?
Yeah, 100%. I really like. I get stressed on Saturdays, as the games are being played and the bets are up in the air. But I get way less stressed about like my own bankroll than I do like knowing that people are relying on me for betting advice. So like, that's what I take the most seriously is like, I want you guys to win money as much or more than I want myself to win money. So, we definitely do take this seriously. And I really do, because like I said, bad weeks are inevitably going to come. And on those bad weeks, like I really do, like I get a knot in my stomach the next morning when I wake up because I know that I lost people money that week.
Yeah, I think about that when I'm thinking about it on Saturday and how much people are relying on me. I think to myself, I don't care. It's their fault. Why would anyone trust this? So, no. You've done it to yourself. I am so excited that we're 3-0. And I don't want to say this. I think we've been really smart. And I think what we've come, you can be smart and lose, and you can be dumb and win.
Yep.
But I like the rhythm that we're in of you coming out with some like, okay, here's what I'm thinking about. Here's what my numbers are saying. And then you and I kind of working together to pick the one. You know what I mean? Because you always have, it's not like you just have one bet that you really like. You have 3, 5, 7, 9, and then we figure it out. I think we've done a good job of figuring it out so far. So we are up more than $1,600 overall. That is because we are 3-0 on our real money bets, and we also are ahead on our plus money swings. So our plus money swings, which is a couple weeks we just bet $100, and then last week we did like a $50 bet and two $25 bets. But overall, we've made 5 different bets and we've hit 2 of them. But the whole point is they're underdog plus money swings. We're up $120.91 on the plus money swings. We're up more than $1,500. We're 3-0 on the $500 plays. Then our other best bets, so we don't include the 3-0 in this, other games that we call best bets. You are 5-4. I am 2-4. You were 2-1 last week. I was 1-1 last week. You hit 2 very smoothly, and then the Pitt WVU game, West Virginia blowing a lead in the final 3 minutes.
A 10-point lead. Unbelievable.
Neil Brown and you. You went. I feel like maybe you're not betting on Neil Brown anytime soon.
That was infuriating. I mean, that game was back and forth. Like it could have gone either way, but then I felt like West Virginia had enough of a hold of it, with the 10-point lead with a few minutes left, and then somehow did not not only did they not, cover laying the points, they lost the game. Like lost the game. How does that happen?
Yeah. So good position, bad ending on that one. So overall, 5-4 on your best bets, 2-4 on my best bets. I probably made a mistake that I need to be what's the word? Less dumb. I just made a bet entirely based on, I think a guy's going to be injured and his backup won't be that good. And that's not math. TShoe, that's not math. I was just like, Cam Rising's not playing for Utah, under. And then Utah State moved the ball with some big plays, and Isaac Wilson, the freshman backup quarterback, actually played pretty well in the second half, and it went way over. But I didn't really analyze the game beyond, hey, the starting quarterback is out, which is probably not how the Sharps do it. Is that right?
Probably not the best process, but the funny thing about that though is early in that game, it was like a rock. It started off the way you thought it was going to go. I literally almost texted you like, man, good call on that under. Like, I wish I'd have jumped on that. And then I checked the score, an hour later, and it's like, oh my God, what happened? So yeah, it happens.
And when it's one of those, the underdog, it was like punt. And then the underdog was up 14-3. And I was like, oh, I'm dead. Because now the favorite's going to have to not sit on the ball. Yeah. They're going to have to score to try to get, and so that one lost. But I was all over Indiana, whatever they gave 3 points at UCLA, and they blew the doors off the Bruins. So that one was right. All right, let's get to our $500 real money bet. It was from your slate, and I will just say, I think I am going to establish a rule here that I'm not going to let us make the $500 bet be a Southern team beating a Northern team. And I would rather take food out of the mouths of hungry children than bet on the South.
Can we get that YouTube short right there, Mike? Just have that queued up on loop this week.
I'll say it again. That's how much I hate the South. But for real, so you really like, there's our winner, by the way. Week 3 recap, $500. It was an alternate line parlay all over it. Maryland and Buffalo smashed it, cashed it, bashed it, dashed it.
Didn't need the extra points, but
one less than we should have. That's the Doug way. Hey, be so scared that you win, but you win less. I'm Doug. Here's my betting newsletter. Win less with Doug. Lose more, win less. Be scared, buy a sword. Oh, you like Houston this week. Houston at Cincinnati. And I'm not going to let a bunch of Texans march up to Ohio and hand me money. I don't want it. I'd rather set that money on fire. So I feel like if we were just taking what you really, really, really liked, it would be Houston plus 3.5 at Cincinnati. Is that correct?
I do really like that, but that's not to say, I mean, our actual $500 bet, I do really, really like. I gave that out on my college football guide earlier. We're recording this on Thursday. I gave this out earlier Thursday afternoon because I did see it, start to, maybe tick down a little bit.
Okay. So the actual bet, it's a total. It's an under. We actually were talking about it at 42.5, and it has moved on DraftKings where we have our account to 42. and it moved from minus 112 to minus 108. We're still all good with everything, though, right? TShoe, we're still all good.
I would, when you're listening to this Friday morning, if it's at 41.5, I would play this to 41. 41's a secondary key number on totals, so I would play this to 41.
Okay, so this is our bet: Ohio at Kentucky. Under 42, we're getting it at minus 108, and I'm going to actually make this bet. The football of this, Ohio played Syracuse in week 1 and actually moved the ball on the ground a decent amount. They had like a 17-play drive in that game. So I do think the idea of like Ohio can maybe run the ball a little bit and suck up some clock. And then Kentucky's coming off all the wound up juices of an almost win. Mark Stoops' favorite thing. Hey guys, great almost win against Georgia last week when they threw it away. But I think the idea of A, I'm not sure what Kentucky's good at, and B, the juice level is reduced significantly in this game. So I think Ohio can hold the ball a little bit. I think Kentucky will be a little squeezed out. And so I think the football part of this, I do like the under 42. What's the math telling you, TShoe?
Yeah, I mean, I like what you just said about the football part of it. I do think this is just kind of like a sleepy letdown spot after an emotional, almost win against Georgia last week for Kentucky and Ohio. Like, if you're Ohio coming into this game, the way you would try to prepare to win this game would be like, all right, we got to play some ball control and try to win this thing 17-14 or something. So looking at the numbers, I project 33.5 on this total. And again, wow. I always reference the on-field data only. The on-field data only projection would be 28 on this game. So extremely low. All the formulas were in agreement. This under was a really good play. So I really like it.
Just bet it. $500 under 42 at minus 108. We wagered $500. If we win, we'll get back $962.96. All right. So I feel better about this now. Like if you guys watch the preview tees, we kind of bantered back and forth on some things that, what's banter? What's a different word than banter? I would say constantly rejected. Tyler constantly rejected my suggestions on bets, but I feel good about landing on this. And I always talk about this. I think it's imaginary and it's not an actual thing, but there's two ways to win here. There's like a tight, low scoring, just like a 21-17 kind of game, and there's like Kentucky's better than Ohio and they just win 31-3. But I don't think Kentucky's going to win 56-3, and I don't think this is going to be 31-30. So I think there are two paths to us hitting this under.
Yep. Agreed. 100%.
Okay. Let's go now to one of the plus money swings that we're going to play. And it's the parlay, Mike. Let's do this one first because I'm going to call this the fat thumb parlay. And let's learn some lessons here. So TShoe, when I'm trying to figure out how much a bet is going to pay, I've been putting it in the betting app and seeing what gets calculated. And I was doing that and trying to decide. And it's like, I feel like the plus money swings are I have a little more freedom there. I want to double check with you, but it's not $500. Doug's can get a little bit wild there. So I was like, man, maybe I'll just make one of these and then we'll talk about the second and whatever. And then I looked down and it was like, thank you for your bet. And I was like, what have I done? And I thought, did I just bet $5,000 on something? Did I tell the app to withdraw more money from my bank account? Did I just sell my house by accident? But I fat thumbed it. And I don't dislike it. I had a thing in that I actually like, but I wasn't 100% sure that I was actually going to do it. And I did it with my fat thumbs. So first of all, the bet, it's an alternate line total parlay. Alternate line total parlay. Over 41.5 for Northwestern Washington and under 45.5 for Rutgers Virginia Tech. That gets us to plus 213 for a $50 bet. We'll win $156.51. Let's talk about, I guess, just the idea of this TShoe. I think Washington's going to put up some points on Northwestern, and Northwestern's not going to be able to keep up. I feel like 41.5 is not a lot to ask. And with Jack Lausch at quarterback, I do think Northwestern can move the ball a little bit. So like 35-7 gets us here on the alternate line, like to bring it down under a key number of 42. I liked. And then Rutgers, Virginia Tech. Again, this isn't a crazy under to me, but I think I picked this on our Thursday show. I picked Rutgers 20-10 as my actual score. So that's 30. And the alternate line we took here is under 45.5. What do you think of those two bets at those totals?
Is this my surprise? Is this a surprise pick? Because this is one you floated by me on the teaser show. And I said, I am total opposite of these plays. So
but it's my thumb. My thumb had a mind of its own.
So what
I did say I was going to surprise you on this. My thumb surprised you. You got thumbed, TShoe. You just got thumbed. It's like a new prank show. Hey guys, you just got thumbed. You didn't want to do something, but Doug's thumb came in and did it for you anyway. You didn't mean to propose, but Doug thumbed you. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to ruin people's lives with my fat thumb. So this is not good then? This is not so much of the good?
Yeah, no, my numbers would be out on this parlay because Washington Northwestern I have projected at 35 and Rutgers Virginia Tech I have projected at 49. So I would literally be opposite of this parlay.
So what I would call this then is the Doug, Mike, and I don't know if this will fit on the graphic. The Doug fat thumb TShoe wants nothing to do with this alternate line total parlay. So that's like 17 words, but that's what it is. You do not have to be associated with this. It's just $50. You're in charge of the 500. My thumb's in charge of the 50. So my bad. That's why I was thinking about it. I was like, wait, did we talk about this on the preview show? Yeah, I think maybe we did talk about it. Did he love it? Or did he hate it? And my thumb was like, hey, Doug, I'm your thumb. What is it, thumb? I think TShoe's going to love that bet. I'm going to make it. Sorry. So let me ask
we're
about
locked in now.
Can you call, do you know, I would assume you know this. Can you call a betting app and say, I just made a bet by accident. Can I have my money back?
I don't think that would go very well. You can potentially look at the early cash out option if they're offering it. But yeah, we're probably just locked into that sucker now.
$39.29. So we would lose $10.71 if we cashed it out right now. I would rather win. Okay, so here's the other thing. Should I not be checking payouts in a betting app where I am one fat thumb moment away from placing a bet? Should I be finding another odds calculator to do that?
That would probably seem like the more appropriate route to take.
This is like me asking TShoe, if I want to see how hot fire is, should I light matches in my house? No, Doug, you shouldn't. I'm just so happy. I am so happy that my accidental bet was $50 and not $5,000 because I was already starting to have the conversation with our company of like, so anyway, you know, the whole bankroll thing. Well, my thumb.
You know those hungry kids? Yeah, they're gonna stay hungry.
Maybe they can eat my thumb. By the way, that's the body part that's coming off first. It's this thumb right here. Bong. Okay, so this is just advice. It's bet. Who knows? But there are some people who are following on this, follow our bets, and have had a little bit of success so far. Maybe not this one. Your thumbs are still free. Your thumbs have not betrayed you yet. So maybe avoid this one. But I still like the idea behind it. The search for alternate lines, give a little bit of room. Okay, I think Northwestern Washington's going to go a little higher than people think, but I don't want to go too high, so I'll bring that one down. I think Virginia Tech Rutgers is going to go nice under, but I don't want the under to be too low. I'll raise that one up. And I'm doing the limbo. I'm barely making it. Let's make another real bet, though. So that's $50. We have another $50. And the other $50 plus money swing is one that you like, and it's just an underdog to win, and it's JMU. We're going to bet that money line at plus 320 versus North Carolina. This is like about a 10-point spread. Why is this one that you actually like as the Dukes as a live underdog here?
Yeah, I do really like this one. I'm probably going to end up betting them on the spread as well. I mean, all of my formulas were unanimous that they're going to cover the 9.5, 10-point spread that's out there. I'm sorry, 10.5 point spread that's out there. But I have one formula that And again, I've tweeted about this. When at least one of my formulas projects an underdog to win outright, they've covered 60% of the time, and they've won outright like 2/3 of that. So like it's been pretty likely that when one of my formulas projects an underdog, that underdog has a really good chance of winning. And one of my formulas is James Madison minus 9.5. Now, of course, that is taking only 2024 on-field data into account, which some people like. Some people, want the priors baked in there. So that's why I try to give you all the information I've got. But yeah, just on the field, 2024 opponent adjusted. One of my formulas has James Madison minus 9.5. So I definitely like them to cover, and I do think there's going to be a really good chance that they can win this game outright.
So a couple other things. Obviously, North Carolina is without its starting quarterback, Max Johnson, who was hurt and out for the year in the opener against Minnesota. And the other thing is North Carolina is playing Duke next week in a rivalry game, and this could be a little bit of a look-ahead spot for them. And plus, JMU still has Kurt Cignetti fingerprints all over him, and Kurt Cignetti is a good football coach, and let's remember that. And we're getting proof of that at Indiana. You got proof of it at JMU last year. So I like this for plus 320. Again, on DraftKings, James Madison is a 10.5-point underdog. So you can, just take him plus 10.5 at minus 110, but we're taking the plus money swing. Plus 320 will make a $50 bet on that. So those will be our 3 actual bets this week. TShoe, what are your other best bets? We've got 4 other TShoe best bets because you like this card. Let's start with the first one. What do you want to do first? Let's do Houston, Cincinnati. Let's talk about Houston, Cincinnati right now. Because again, I'm intrigued. Like you just love it. You love it so much. You just love this so much.
I do. So Houston was a team coming into the year that my numbers were pretty low on. I mean, the market was too, but my numbers were, I think, even lower than that. And even so, like my official projection on this game was Cincinnati -1, which is still heavily baking those priors into it. So the fact that the prior, formula is still liking Houston plus the points here. When you get into the on-field data only so far this year, I make Houston -6.5.
Wow.
Houston's played a much more difficult strength of schedule. Their average opponent power rating is 3. Cincinnati's average opponent power rating is -11.2. Houston played Oklahoma and held them to 20 points. They only lost by 4 in that game.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, in opponent adjusted points per play, they're 78th. Houston's 55th. On defense, Cincinnati's 69th and Houston's 21st. So Houston's better on both sides of the ball and all the efficiency metrics I incorporate. So I really like Houston here. I think they're going to win the game.
And I'm giving all folk of the North permission to ignore everything he just said. Go Bearcats. Okay, so that's one. It's just a matter of what do you value more? Do you value money or do you value your northern soul? Make your own decision. Make your own decision. Baylor, Colorado. You're going against the Fighting Buffs on this one.
Yeah, I'm surprised this line hasn't moved more this week. It's actually, we've seen it. I think it opened 1.5, if I'm not mistaken. It's been up to Colorado -2, but I like Baylor. I project Baylor -1.5 here. Again, with the priors baked in, and when you look at the on-field data, I would make Baylor -11.5. And
wow.
Similar to the Houston-Cincinnati game, Baylor's been better on both sides of the ball in all the metrics I look at. Baylor 77th in offense, Colorado 92nd. Like we think of Colorado as this like high flying, lighted up team, and they're not. They're 92nd in opponent adjusted points per play. Baylor 22nd in defensive adjusted points per play. Colorado's 37th. So again, Baylor's better on both sides of the ball. I think they're going to win the game.
So this is Baylor +2 that you're taking. You're getting it at -112 on DraftKings. Just let me, as a point of information on DraftKings, the money line on Baylor is +105, or you can get them at +2 at -112. If somebody actually wants to bet this, is there? I mean, again, it's just math, right? But
yeah,
at what point where you're barely getting any points do you just say, just take the money line and get a little bit better odds?
Yeah, I would have to plug it into the calculator because it obviously just depends on the price of the money line.
You might empty your bank account.
Not on the app itself, but I would run the numbers. But honestly, probably the best play would be to just split the unit and maybe go half your unit on the money line, half of it on the spread. Because what I'm noticing too, and I'd like to dig into the data on this. Obviously 3 is like the most key number, but man, a lot of games are ending 2 now, especially with the overtime rules now. We're seeing more and more games end on 2, with these tight spreads. So, I don't have the data to support that, but it just seems in watching the sport over the last few years, like that seems to be evolving, and 2 is becoming more and more important as well.
That is a very interesting case because you have to go for 2 points. You have to go for a 2-point conversion in the second overtime. So you do. They have created a specific way a game can play out, where there's a very specific way where a close game can end with somebody winning by 2. That if you're tied after the first overtime, you go to the second overtime. The first team scores, goes for 2 and gets it. The second team scores the touchdown and then doesn't get the 2-point conversion, and you lose by 2. And you might be sitting here thinking like, oh man, I had that the whole way. I knew Baylor was going to be right there with Colorado, and now I didn't. I just lost my bet because I took the money line. But if you have the +2, at least you push. Okay, that's interesting. That's a good project for you. A good project for me is
I don't have anything else going on, so I'll dig into that.
Yeah, I have an idea. Why don't you make another dunk video? How about that? Why don't you put up another video of you, a middle-aged man, flying 17 feet into the air and dunking between your legs and making the rest of us feel feeble?
I cannot do through the legs, but I did post the East Bay. I did post the 360 a couple weeks ago, so I'll give you that, but I can't go through the legs.
I cannot do through the legs. Fat thumbs, flying dunks. Just one of the ways that you and I are different. Coastal Carolina versus Virginia. You like a lot of underdogs this week. You like Coastal Carolina +3.5 against Virginia -110 on DraftKings. Why?
Yeah, I do like a lot of underdogs this week, but it's because of the trend that I said with my numbers, that like something in these formulas has been able to kind of pinpoint the underdogs that not only are covering, but they're winning the games outright, which obviously gets you the cover. So if we're playing the spread, we got a pretty good chance. Coastal's another example of that. I project Coastal -1. The 2024 data, Coastal -1.5. So, not as stark a difference, but still trending more towards Coastal. The last time, this is interesting, a buddy of mine at VSiN, Jared Smith, sent me this. The last time Virginia was a road non-conference favorite was 2011. So wow. I say that only to say, like, this is unfamiliar territory for them to have any kind of expectation, especially going on the road. And under Tony Elliott, which is since 2022, Virginia has failed to cover as a favorite by 8.5 points per game. So anytime they've had expectation, they've completely crapped the bed. Conversely, Tim Beck, our guy, is 6-3 ATS as an underdog at Coastal, and he's covered by 7 points per game. And then you get into the numbers. Coastal's 22nd in opponent adjusted points per play. Virginia's 84th. Virginia's offense is terrible. Not to mention their quarterback is a very loose cannon. Like he will make a spectacular play and then he may throw 3 picks in a row. Like you never know what you're going to get with him. The Coastal defense is bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. They're 91st in opponent adjusted points per play. But Virginia's defense is only 65th. So it's not like they're, world beaters. So, I think Coastal's better, so much better on the offensive side of the ball that Virginia's not going to be able to slow them down. Virginia melted down in the second half against Maryland, and Coastal's offense is way better than Maryland's. I
was getting interested in this bet until you reminded me that Tim Beck is Coastal Carolina's head coach. So everybody is going to follow TShoe on this one. The last one is Minnesota +2.5 versus Iowa. You like the Gophers there, -108 on DraftKings. Landis and I both think this is close. I picked Iowa to win by 2 in part because I wanted to keep alive the idea of me taking Minnesota +2.5. Why do your numbers like the Gophers here?
Yeah, again, formulas were unanimous in projecting Minnesota as a winner here, as high as Minnesota -9 with some of the on-field data formulas. Similar offenses. Neither offense is great. They're both outside the top 50. But I think the Minnesota defense is the difference in this game. I've got them 14th in opponent adjusted defensive points per play, while Iowa is 40th. Minnesota shut out their last 2 opponents. Granted, I get it's Rhode Island and Nevada, but Iowa's already given up 20 and 21 to Iowa State and Troy, both of whom have. I know you love Iowa State and your boy, so cover your ears, but both those offenses kind of suck in terms of the advanced data. So I think the Minnesota defense is the difference in this game. I think it's going to be low scoring and tight, like these old Big Ten West games always are. But I'll take the 2.5 with the team that my numbers project to win the game.
All right, so those are Tyler Shoemaker's 4 best bets. My 2 best bets. First one is, I think this is another one that you wouldn't let me bet, which is fine. I'm responsible for these. Is Syracuse minus 8.5 versus Stanford? This line is moving toward me. It was 10 when I started looking at it earlier in the week. It's down to 8.5. And I will say, if my fat thumbs hadn't gotten in the way, one of the things that I was going to consider as a plus money bet instead was an alternate line on Syracuse, pushing it as high as I could go, which on DraftKings would be minus 20.5, and taking Syracuse then at plus 247. So like, if I think Syracuse is going to blow them away. I think it's a long trip. I think Syracuse's offense is primed. They both are coming off bye weeks, but like I think I picked like whatever 42-13 or something like that. So I don't just think they're going to win. I think they're going to win big. Is that I picked officially 44-17. So that would cover by 20.5. With that, I know you hate this. I know you hate it. You hate me at this point. You hate me. You don't hate me. You hate Doug the better. You like Doug the person, Doug the better. Is that a decent thing to do ever? Like look for an alternate line where it's like, listen, man, I don't just think they're going to win by 10. I think they're going to win by 3 touchdowns. I want the extra juice on that. Or is that crazy person talk?
No, I mean, it makes sense logically. Again, like you'd have to look at the implied probability to know if the math actually makes sense. But in theory, yes, like if you think Syracuse is going to just blow them out, then instead of, playing $110 or in your case, $11 to win 10, just play $10 to win 25 or whatever. Like that definitely makes sense to me for sure.
Okay. So that's one of them. My other one is Army versus Rice. We did talk about this also on the preview shows. Like, do we want to go against Rice? Army minus 6.5 at minus 112. Rice has been like pretty awful. And I think Army, like they tried to change their offense last year. They went back to it this year. I think they've got it rolling again a little bit. This is at Army. Army already beat Florida Atlantic in the American. So I like giving less than a touchdown here with Army. So this is minus 112. This is my second best bet. What do you think of that?
Yeah, this is the game where like the preseason priors, and I mentioned this on our teaser show. I'm so mad at myself because I had Rice in the gutter in the preseason in my first iteration of my numbers. And then I saw how far off the market I was. Like I was off literally like 3.5 wins from their season win total. And I was like, all right, I need to probably bump them up a little bit. And I shouldn't have, because I was right the first time around. So TSI has not quite caught up to how bad Rice is. So I only project the game 1.5, but the on-field data definitely supports this. Army minus 15 with formulas as high as 23.5. So I do think Army's going to run them out of the building.
Yeah, I kind of like this one a lot. We talked about this. I would have been in range on this of like make this the $500 bet possibly, but I like where we landed with Ohio and Kentucky. We're trying to go 4-0. We appreciate you guys riding with us. We hope you're having a good time here on Friday mornings. We hope you're getting a little bit of advice and making college football, which is already a great sport. If you enjoy doing this for $2-3 or whatever, maybe more, maybe having a little fun along the way. Thanks to our producer, Mike Urostowski, for making us look good and sound good. TShoe, where can the folks find you again?
Yeah, follow me on X at TShoe Index. You can read me 4 days a week at vsin.com with WNBA. It's going into the playoffs. I do NFL, college football best bets. So everything that I do is on vsin.com daily and definitely on X at TShoe Index.
And I am Doug Lesmerises, and you can find us Monday through Thursday, Kings of the North, live on YouTube, and look for us Saturday night, 11 p.m. live post-game show. Me and Bill Landis will see you guys there. For now, he's Tyler Shoemaker. I'm Doug Lesmerises, and that was Bets of the North on Kings of the North.